Spring is almost here. Hiya, babies. Welcome back to the channel. Good to see you. Missed you. Toot, toot, toot. Hello, hello. So I just wanted to go over a couple of perfumes or fragrances for spring, which I think would be rather appropriate for a man or a woman. I only have 3 right now. Just a couple I just picked this morning and thought I'd want to share. But I'm also going to share my scent of the day. Usually I forget and I share it later, so I'm going to share it right off the bat. This one's a really beautiful combo. I came up with it, I think, sometime last year. Actually, I think it might have been around this time last year. And I've worn it several times since then, and it is so freaking good. And I know I crap a lot on the brand Initio, but when they do it good, they do it really, really good. So this one is Psychedelic Love. Yeah, Psychedelic Love. I'm saying it right. It's a Psychedelic Love mixed with Joe Malone, Myrrh, and Tonka. Now these together is amazing. And why this one might lean Psychedelic Love, might lean a little feminine because of the ylang-ylang and is slightly sweet because of that. It is so well balanced with this. So here, God, this is so freaking good. So there's ylang-ylang in here, a little bit of jasmine, or at least something that I'm perceiving to be jasmine, and myrrh. So actually, I think I get the myrrh first. So literally the myrrh and the ylang-ylang is so intertwined together. And whatever that jasmine note is, and there's sandalwood as well. But also what I get, really a minute amount, like 0.001%. And you won't notice it unless you're hyper-analyzing it or super sensitive, is a little bit of a civet note, which kind of takes it right over the edge, and there's no animalic notes listed. So I'm not quite sure where that's coming from, but it just rounds out everything so well. So even if you think you don't like animalic notes, if I'm not pointing it out, I think you might never notice, but what happens is it just adds that layer to make it so addictive. So you have ylang-ylang, vanilla, I believe, oh, and heliotrope. God, I can smell it as it's wafting off my skin in the bottle top. Man, it is, and it does lean feminine, but I feel like on a man's skin, maybe the little bit of light spiciness, and I feel like there might be cinnamon in here. Again, not listed. There is sandalwood, but there's this light spiciness in here that I don't attribute to the myrrh because it's very prominent, but there's something that's particularly like kind of making my nose tingle a little bit, so I feel like there's a little bit of cinnamon. Anyway, so you go with that on the base. And to make this more male-friendly, if you're not into something with a light ylang-ylang or white floral touch, I mix it with myrrh and tonka. This is simple and straightforward. It is literally myrrh, tonka, I believe there's vanilla in here as well, and lavender. So lavender actually makes it lean masculine. And this one's dry. While this one is a touch creamy, and I mean just a touch creamy just to make it a little bit smooth. Now this one has a bit of a dry element, and it could be from the lavender note, drying it out, or maybe it could be from the tonka. I'm not really sure, I don't really care. But it is so good. Definitely leans masculine, and I think it's more of an acquired taste for if you like female scents or feminine leaning scents. But when you put these together, when I mean it is epically balanced, epically balanced. Anyway, so that's my scent of the day. Not on the topic, but it still will do really well in the spring. So let's just get into it. So the first one up is a classic. I think it's from the 90s because my mom wore this when I was younger, or an aunt. I don't really remember, but that's not the point. And excuse my ratty bottle, but I think you might be able to recognize it even though the writing is pretty much worn off. This is Green Tea by Elizabeth Arden. Now you're gonna think I'm a little nuts here because Elizabeth Arden markets to only women, but listen to me here. It is exactly what it says it is, green tea. There is this like mate feel, a little bit of a tannic drying feeling. I think the green tea note is done really, really well in here. And there's also osmanthus, and I'm gonna spray it. Dang, wow, just it's one of those scents that are beyond its time. It's timeless, literally. And I believe Francis Kurkdjian, he composed the scent, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was Francis Kurkdjian when he was young. And there's what I'm perceiving to be osmanthus, a little bit of citrus, and a little bit of musk in the background. It's not musky, but it's just there to add a little balance. And there's this freshness, like it's watery. There's not aquatic, but there's this watery element making it fresh. So this is something that'd be highly appropriate on a really hot day or when you're fresh out of the shower. Now, because it's Elizabeth Arden, men might be like, seriously? Just listen to me. It's a tea scent. So if you like tea scents, something a little watery, a touch tang, and I think it could be from a citrus note, but also a little sweet, and I mean just a little bit sweet from something, again, apricot-y or osmanthusy, but that green tea just overtakes it. Green tea, mate, kind of dries it out, and it just plays so well on the skin. So it's not feminine. I think this is highly unisex, and I don't think if it was ever marketed like that, but again, it's just marketing. If you like it, just wear it. So out of the shower in the morning or on a really hot day, I really feel like this would do great for man or a woman, okay? So this first one up is, I'm holding the bottle backwards, Green Tea by Elizabeth Arden. I think you can for $12, $13 in fragrance net, like really inexpensive. And if you have similar taste to mine, I would recommend that you get this into your collection. It's gonna be a short video. Okay, now the next one. Oh, by the way, they work really well together. Before I jump ahead of myself here. So the next one up is Melody of the Sun by Mancera. I shared this on my, I think last year on my channel, and this has been sitting for about a year, and I haven't worn it since summer, spring or summer. It's been a minute since I wore this one, because this one is just, ooh, geez, this is so good. The name is so perfect, Melody of the Sun. It feels like happiness in a bottle, like just a big smile. And it is the perfect balance, I think, of masculine and feminine. There is, gosh, this is so good. There's citrus in here, something creamy. I feel like, again, osmanthus, or something I'm perceiving to be osmanthus. There's also tea note in here. There's mate in here. There's a very prominent lavender, but it's not a prickly lavender. You see, it's, I think, pretty smooth and lends a little bit of sweetness. And one second. Yeah, it's basically just, okay, here we go. So we have, take maybe like an apricot or something. You kind of smush it up, but then you add something to dry it up. So you take tea leaves or green tea leaves and you put it in to dry it up. And then you put a little bit of lavender. But that green tea note kind of dries it all up and kind of takes away some of the juice. So it's not juicy, but just leaves a little bit of sweetness in there. And I feel like there might be a little bit of iris in here, but I hesitate to say this because it's not powdery, but it is grainy. I hope I'm articulating this right. It is grainy, so it's creamy, but not smooth. And it's not powdery, but it does have a little bit of grit in my head. I just feel like there's a little bit of texture to it. So I feel like it's somewhere in between that. And again, maybe it's osmanthus, I don't know what it is. I feel like this is simple, straightforward. It is not a strong projector. It's a little unusual for Mancera that it does not project a lot. It's not a huge long laster, like beast mode, like 10 to 12 hours, like most Manceras are. This is not that. Between 6 to 8 hours, but I feel like that is still highly sufficient for what this is. It is a mood booster, and not everything needs to bloody last more than 6 to 8 hours. You know what I mean? But in that vein, because of the lavender and the tea note, when you wear these together, so when you wear this out of the shower, last few hours, and then you actually put your sun on the day, it blends so well together. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And this just enhances that. I'm pretty sure there's tea note in here. I know I'm not mistaken. A tea note or mate note, because through that smooth, gritty creaminess, there is, when it's on your skin, there's something that just dries it out a little bit. So I'm pretty sure there's something kind of bringing it in a little bit, so it's not pushing forward so much. And there is musk, but it's more in the background, just as a bouncer and a smoother. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And this really doesn't get the shine that it deserves. But there's so many Manceras. There's so many amazing Manceras. I can see how this might get lost in the mix. But this spring and this summer, really try to get your nose on this. Or if you have it in your collection, bring it back out and show it a little love. And if you have this, put it together. And I'm telling you, even if you're a man, don't be scared of this combination, because it says Elizabeth Arden. It is a dope mix. Okay, and now the last one I haven't worn since last season either. Just a little caveat here, or rather a little note to point out if you just stumbled on my channel. I don't pay attention to seasons when it comes to perfumes. And what I mean by that is I kind of go with my mood. So even though I might do seasonal videos in real life, and I say it in my video too, I will put fruits in the middle of winter. I go with my feeling for what works with me and where my mood is at. So if I want something juicier or fruity, I will wear that in the dead of winter and I don't care. And if I want to wear something a little heavier in the summer, if I know I'm going to be in a temperature controlled environment, I will wear 1 or 2 bloody spritzes of it. And rose for me is not a seasonal spring thing. I'm a rose girl, always have been since I've been a teenager. It's just my thing. I will wear rose in the dead of winter and the hot of spring, the hot of summer. Well, spring can be hot. Anyway, that's not the point. In the deep of spring as well. It's just kind of my thing. So with that said, it doesn't really matter what season it is. But the reason why I just haven't reached for these, I think it's just a matter of, I just simply hadn't been reaching for it since last summer, excuse me. Last summer, early fall. Nobody asked, get to the point. So what I'm holding here is an indie brand, an indie niche brand called Goldfield Banks. I bought this from Lucky Scent, I believe last year. And it first caught my attention because of the blue bottle. I don't know if you can see the color. Isn't that gorgeous? Bloody gorgeous. It's bloody gorgeous. Look at that, it looks like ocean water from the Bahamas. I've never been to the Bahamas, but if I would assume what turquoise water would look like in the Bahamas, it probably looks like this. Anyway, so what this smells like, it smells like a smiling bottle. I think you can see a little bit of a trend here. Gosh darn. Every time I wear this, okay, I'll give myself a little bit of room forever. 95% of the time when I wear this, I get compliments. And specifically, not just you smell nice, they go as far as inquiring what it is that you're wearing. They want the name so they can buy it. The last time I wore this, the very last time, I think last season. Oh, Alexa, stop. Thank you, that's embarrassing. So anyway, back to what I was saying. The last time I wore this, I think early fall or the later end of summer, the person asked what I wore. Oh, and another thing to Goldfield Banks. I know I've mentioned this before. I understand you're a niche brand, and I don't think you might care about, appealing to everybody, but the name, it's such a long name. So really, really long. So first you have Goldfield Banks, and then you have Pacific Rock Moss. So when I'm trying to tell people the name, they kind of like go glazed over in the eye, and then I end up having to write it on a Post-it note, not because it's a complicated name, just because it's so long. And also Pacific Rock Moss, like unless you're deep into loving perfumes, that could sound really weird. And when I tell people the name, they kind of just stare at me like Pacific Rock Moss, that sounds so weird. But yet I smell good, right? But anyway, just a little thing to know. When you're telling people, it is a mouthful. Goldfield Banks, Pacific Rock Moss. It doesn't roll off the tongue. You know what I mean? I think it's what I'm trying to say. So perfumes, I get a lot of compliments. It's slightly annoying for me to have to like say that name. They're like, wait, what? And then I end up having to write it down. So anyway, it's a huge crowd pleaser. Is a little bit of citrus, I think, in here, maybe bergamot or something. I feel like there's ginger in here because there's a little bit of a zing. It's not necessarily spicy, but just a little bit of a effervescent zing along with that bergamot note or some kind of citrus note. And it is citrus, but it's also, I think it might also be lemon in here. I don't want to spray too many things right now. Yeah, no. There has to be some kind of lemon note in here as well. Maybe in conjunction with the bergamot, and definitely I smell ginger in here. I could be completely wrong, but I'm probably not. Maybe some light white floral. There's definitely lavender in here. Definitely a little lavender, because something a little bit herbaceous in here. Not herbaceous, but like aromatic. That's the word. Now, when you look at the notes, I think there's a sage note in there. So maybe that's why I thought herbaceous, but it's more aromatic. And the notes, oh, there's a little spice in here. Ginger, okay, that's probably what's giving me that little bit of a kick of a ginger. When you spray this, when you look at the notes, you're not gonna think of a fresh ocean wave. But when you spray it, and of course when you look at the bottle, that's what you get. It is, when a wave hits a clean rock, there's no petrichor notes in here. I'm just giving you an imagery. but imagine the water. So really clean turquoise blue water hits a clean rock and it just splashes. And you know, the water after the wave hits it, and then you have like the mist. So it's not necessarily the wave of the water, but the mist of the water, the residual water after it hits the rock, spraying into air. So if you're walking by and you get misted by the waves, that's what this smells like. I don't know how they did that, but yet it's not harsh. A lot of aquatic notes. I mean, I enjoy apparently aquatics very much. Not masculine aquatics, just fresh, a little bit salty, ambergris, like you're on a beach and your skin is in the sun and in the water, but not solar. I'm very complicated. But the point is how they captured that in here, and looking at the notes, logically it shouldn't translate, because I think there's also a little bit of green notes in here in the background, which kind of makes you think of water, but it's never too much. And sometimes with these aquatic perfumes, it can be a little sharp or maybe a little bit solar. None of the things that I enjoy particularly, unless it's done well. But here, it's image in a bottle. And it's almost impossible to wear this without having a smile on your face. So all of this is expensive, and it is niche. I think it's about $150 for, I think this is 50, I'm sorry, 1.4 fluid ounce, yeah, 50 ml. So it is pretty pricey. But I feel like, and I don't think you can get it on a discount anywhere, but I do think it is worth going into a store if you can and trying this out. Or maybe get a decant from somewhere if this sounds like your jam, because I feel like there's no way this cannot be one of your jams. And I'm going to go on a limb in here and say I feel like this is kind of a safe blind buy. But I'm not going to say that because it is $150. I'm not going to be irresponsible like that. But if you're able to go into Lucky Scent or any place that does hold this, go in there and make up your own mind. And then if you want to, you can save up the money and get it, or budget for it, whatever. Anyway, huge love of mine. And when I want to smile, this is it. And I love ginger in my scents. I wouldn't call it a favorite note because it is such, I would think, a rather rare note. But whenever ginger is in a perfume, good God, it is so freaking good. So just a quick recap. We have Elizabeth Arden by Green Tea. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Clearly, it's been a minute since I did this. Clearly, I don't know how to speak. Green Tea by Elizabeth Arden. I think you can get this for $12, $13 on a discount website. It is classic. I think it's from the 90s, Francis Kurkjaw. The second one we covered is Melody of the Sun by Mancera. Really happy scent as well. And I just covered Pacific Rock Moss by Goldfield Banks. Totally worth it. So I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know what you are wearing for spring, or what you plan on wearing for spring that you have not worn since the last spring time. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys later. And just remember, the sweetest fragrance we will ever wear are not these perfumes, but our behavior. And another gentle reminder to please find somebody to thank today, even for something small. And more importantly, take a moment to thank God, because if you're here watching this video, that means we made it into yet another day. And even with our trials and tribulations, God is great. Thank you, my friend. Bye.